Hi everyone. Today I'm going to record the 49th chapter of my novel Farishta. And in this chapter, we will talk about Boccaccio, Giovanni Boccaccio. So let's start. We took our breakfast tray and came to one table. Here in Carnegie Hotel, the tables were different from Asylum Center. Over there, one table was enough for 20 people, but here, one table was for only 6 people. We were busy doing our breakfast. It was same Swiss bread, small jar of jam, small brick of butter, and tea without milk. I didn't like this yellowish colored tea, which Swiss people call tea. Salvatore didn't take that tea, and for me it was difficult as well. Next to our table, that Gujarati fat boy was sitting, whose uncle was ex-MPA, and Maqsood was sitting with him. Since Maqsood enjoyed sex with that lady, he became very proud and egoist. He was thinking that he is someone very special. He stopped talking with other people. I didn't mind what he was doing and the way he was acting, so I didn't take any notice. When we had our breakfast, we took our trays to the counter. We heard loud voice of security guard. The people who have done their breakfast, who have their name in transfers list, they get themselves ready downstairs and come downstairs. So like this, Raza, me and Salvatore came downstairs and stood next to the Toyota van. I traveled in that Toyota van many times. Once I had to sit at the place which was reserved for the dogs. People started entering in the van, so finally thrice of us entered in the van. The van brought us to Asylum Center. After passing through zigzag path, it was 23rd of June 2002. It was Sunday. There wasn't any event today. I was thinking last night, if today we will discuss something, that topic will be Giovanni Boccaccio. It is quite possible that Raza or Salvatore will highlight some important parts of his life and increase my knowledge. As Agathu was closed today and I didn't have any intentions to go anywhere, in the morning, as we came out from the van, we went towards the asylum center. As usual, like always, they searched us, they allowed us to go inside. Here some people were doing cleaning work. Some were busy in the kitchen and some were picking pieces of cigarettes. Me and me, Salvatore and Raza found a place in the corner and sat there. There were big windows in the hall and the glass was fixed in them and the windows glass were dirty. I think somebody didn't clean them since long. Salvatore said, we had good discussion about Dante yesterday. Raza said, when you don't have any activity in your life or in your time, it's better to discuss on some topic. Like this you can pass the time in a good way. I said, what should be the today's topic? It was exactly like medieval poets. They used to give some verse and you have to write the poetry according to that verse. And your rhyming should be according to that verse. Raza said, anything, it doesn't matter. Salvatore said, Raza, did you read Boccaccio? I said, I was thinking last night that tomorrow we'll talk about Giovanni Boccaccio. And Salvatore, you solved my problem. Raza said, you people read Decameron? I and Salvatore collectively said, yes. Raza said, so what should we discuss first? About Boccaccio or about his book, which he has written? I said, I just know about Decameron. I have read that book, but I haven't read his other books, and I don't know about them. Salvatore said, we Italians don't read Dante and Boccaccio happily because their poetry and stories are the part of our syllabus. We hear and read about them a lot, so sometimes you are sick of all this. I said, you are very right. Same is the case with us. To know the history, culture and civilization, nation and people, the best way of literature, the best way is literature. Literature play important role. Raza said, like without Firdausi, Rumi, Jami and Sadi, our literature and history is incomplete. But the student of history and literature becomes sick of all this because we talk about them repeatedly and again and again. I said, start with Boccaccio's life history. Salvatore said, Raza, you start. If you'll do mistake, I will correct you. But I'm sure that you won't do any mistake. Raza said, the famous Italian short story writer, whose complete name was Giovanni Boccaccio, was born in famous Italian region Tuscana, Tuscany region. Usually Europeans know a lot about Italy and they call Italy is the heart of Europe. The heart of Italy is Tuscana, Tuscan region. So like heart of Europe is Italy and the heart of Italy is Tuscan region. And the heart of Tuscan region is Firenze, Florence. There is a place close to Florence called Certaldo. Giovanni Boccaccio was born there in 1312 AD and don't know about the month and day. What do you think, Salvatore? Am I right or wrong? Salvatore said, when you will do mistake, I will correct you. Anyway, it's quite normal about classic writers and poets of our country or any country. We don't know their exact date of birth. So you continue. Raza continued. Boccaccio passed his life, his childhood, with his father in Florence, and his father was working for a famous bank called Campania di Bardi. Boccaccio took his initial education, basic education, from Giovanni Mazzoli, the one who introduced Dante to him. As Boccaccio was from rich family, so he had good teachers of that era. The bank for which Boccaccio's father was working, they transferred him to Naples. So like this, Boccaccio went with his father, with his family to Naples. Salvatore interrupted him in the middle, as it was his habit. Now look at Napoli. Today, nobody likes to go there. Raza continued his conversation. At that time, Napoli was a central place of literature, art and culture. Anyway, Boccaccio's father found job for Boccaccio in a bank. But he didn't like this. I said, very true. He didn't like bank. That's why he wrote Decameron. Raza said, of course, creative people show their interest right at their young age. Like every father, Boccaccio's father's biggest wish was that Boccaccio should select some field where he can earn a lot of money. When he didn't take interest working in the bank, his father asked him to join law college. And the law college was called Studium. And at that time, Studium was the best law college in Napoli. Boccaccio studied law for 6 months, 6 years, but he was more interested in science and literature instead of law. During his stay in Napoli, Boccaccio's father introduced him in royal families, and one of them had influence in French kingdom. At that time, the king of Napoli was Robert, who is known as Robert the Wise in the history of Europe. Therefore, Boccaccio fell in love with the daughter of Robert the Wise, who was already married. During this period, Boccaccio met with Paolo di Perugia. He was collecting the old mythologies and fairy tales. So in Napoli, Boccaccio met with many literary people. He wrote 2 anthologies of poetry, which were Filostada, Teseda. These 2 poetry collections inspired English poet Geoffrey Chaucer, and he wrote his famous longest poem. After poetry, Boccaccio wrote his book Filocolo, which had inspiration of some French story. Due to some political reasons, Boccaccio had to leave Napoli, and he came back to Florence. Boccaccio was the greatest fan of Francesco Petrarca, but when Francesco Petrarca came to Napoli, Boccaccio wasn't in Florence, so they didn't meet. When he came to Florence, at that time, the political situation of Florence wasn't very stable. Boccaccio started writing on different topics. In 1348, whole Europe was victim of plague, and lots of people died in Florence. Nearly 75% of the European population died in 1348's plague. At that time, Boccaccio spent some time in Ravenna. Then he came back to Florence and started writing Decameron. He completed his book Decameron in 3 years. This time during his stay in Florence, he had chance to meet with his favorite poet Francesco Petrarca. His meeting with Petrarca was fruitful. He found changes in his writing, so he wrote many masterpieces at that time. Finally, in 1375, at the age of 63, Boccaccio left us and his corpse was cremated. According to his will, Boccaccio had many love affairs. Boccaccio has many love affairs in his life, but he never married. He had 3 kids with these love affairs. Thank you very much. I hope you like my video. Like my video, subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. And in this chapter, they are talking about the life story of Giovanni Boccaccio. This is a brief life story of Giovanni Boccaccio. And in the next chapter, they will talk about what he wrote in his book Decameron. Thank you very much.